Hey everybody, JEOPARDY here with another video. This time bringing you guys the first installment of Character Witness Double Jeopardy, where, in case you didn't watch my news and update video, we're pretty much, the whole point of this little offshoot of the main episodes of Character Witness, the whole point of this is to answer questions that you guys have about the character that was addressed in the previous episode, and for me to discuss a certain question that you guys want me to discuss. I got a few comments on the update video because I asked what questions you want me to talk about Superman, and I got a question on the original Superman video to talk about the character. So all this kind of inspired me to do this new show. And it'll pretty much be coming out every other weekend in between the main installments of Character Witness. So that'll be kind of a filler in between the big episodes of the show. So yeah, let's get right to the questions, shall we? The first few questions come to us from RF Biker Scout. Dan had a few questions for me on my Character Witness episode on Superman, and so yeah, let's see what his questions were. First thing he asks is, what did you think of Superman's romances over the years with Lana Lang, Lois, Wonder Woman, and others? Personally, with superhero romances, I've never really, this is going to sound a little bit stupid or whatnot, but I haven't really cared a whole lot about superhero romances, purely for the fact that they always just change. You know, something gets retconned, the person dies or something. They never last for any really significant amount of time. There's always the next filler girlfriend or boyfriend, really, especially with DC superheroes. I mean, like, you look at Batman, how many different girlfriends he's had over the years, just a bunch of them. But Lois Lane, I do really like Lois. Some characterizations of her, that is. Some characterizations of Lois I don't really care for, like I didn't really like her in Superman Returns. But, like in Superman the Animated Series, I did really like her because she was just, a really strong character, very bold, not afraid of anybody. She always does what she has to do to get a good story and stuff. So she was really, like, a strong female character in the show. So I really liked her in Superman the Animated Series. And in Smallville, too, she was good in that. So really, it depends on the characterization of the character, depending on which adaptation or interpretation or whatever you're watching or reading. So yeah, and Lana Lang, I don't really know as much about this character as I do about Lois, because she isn't in as much stuff because she's not as popular as Lois. But I did really like Lana in Smallville. It was kind of crazy what they did with her in Smallville. She went from being like the small town sweetheart of Clark to being like this super agent kung fu killy person. So that was a bit crazy in Smallville, but I did enjoy her in the show. In the animated series, I didn't like her as much. She was just kind of I don't even really know how to describe it. It's like she had feelings for Clark, but Clark didn't really care about her, so it was kind of awkward. But she was like some kind of big, huge, popular fashion designer, so that was a bit weird. Wonder Woman, I don't really like Superman and Wonder Woman having a relationship, because in the Justice League show, they kind of hinted at that Wonder Woman and Batman had something going. So I prefer Wonder Woman to be going out with Batman than going out with Superman. But yeah, I definitely see how Wonder Woman and Superman would work. They're both pretty much indestructible, so that would definitely work as a romance. So yeah, Superman's romances, they're interesting. I like Lois, depending on how she's being depicted. Like, I really liked her in Superman the Animated Series, but, most of his other romances I just don't really care about, to be honest. Dan's next question is, how about him having a kid in the Returns movie? Yeah, no. Yeah, I did not really care for that one bit. That's another reason that I felt that Returns was just kind of a meh movie. Is first off, how would that even work? I mean, when you think about it, it's the Kryptonian and humans, two different species. That doesn't work. That's just interspecies breeding. Just weird. Yes, that's a bit disturbing when you think about it. And then this kid is like some kind of superhuman as well, I guess, because he's half Kryptonian, yet he can throw pianos around. So, was he like half the strength? Does this make him Superboy or something? So, I don't know. It was weird. I thought it was really weird that him and Lois had a kid. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of disturbing when I think about it. Yeah, let's move on from that. He also asks, like, what fiction have I read of Superman? And then he goes on to, like, ask specifics, like the New 52, Silver Age, the Burn Run from the 1980s. Personally, with a lot of superheroes, obviously, most superheroes have been around for decades upon decades, especially DC characters. I mean, Superman, he's been around since the late 30s or early 40s. So, obviously, I've not read every single Superman story ever made. I've primarily stayed away from the Golden Age stuff. I've watched the 40s serials, some of them at least, not all of them. And, they're good fun, but, not my Superman. Once we get on into the Silver Age, I'm a bit more familiar with. I've read a few Silver Age stories and stuff. Especially something that's really helpful if you're wanting to get kind of a general feel for a character, is that DC Comics has released these kind of greatest stories ever told, I believe that's what they're called, but pretty much all the different major DC characters, and it's this trade paperback that's not super thick, but it goes down some of the greatest hits, ranging from very early on stuff to more modern. So I've read several Silver Age Superman stories, and again, those are really those are camptacular, to be honest. But that's what the Silver Age was. The Silver Age was the Silver Age after all. Once we get on to the Bronze Age, I really do like the Bronze Age for DC Comics in general. I thought it was quite good. Again, I haven't read any particular run of a writer or an artist. I know, Dan, that you like to do that, but I haven't done that personally. Again, I read a lot of times. I like to pick the major story arcs and then read those over just reading the entire run by itself. I might pick up, like, a particular run sometime in the future. It all depends, but yeah, I've read The Death of Superman and stuff, and other major Superman events and stuff, like Emperor Joker. That was a great one. But in terms of particular runs, not really any in particular. I've pretty much stayed away from DC's reading modern DC comics since the New 52, because the whole idea of the New 52 just PO'd me so much, like just throwing away decades of comics history and just saying, "Oop, reboot button." That still has me a little stingy over that. So yeah, I've stayed away from the New 52 so far, but I might touch it again, or actually read some of the comics maybe in the future. But I don't know. It's just it just really just kind of turns me off that they did that. So yeah, I believe that pretty much answers your question, Dan. So yeah, I like to not in particularly pick any single writer's run on a series, but instead kind of pick the major events, because I know pretty much generally what these characters are doing in their day-to-day kind of experiences fighting crime. So I like to pick the major events, like the major story arcs in that character's history to read. Okay, moving on to the next question is from JC Seiji. who's been a frequent viewer of mine. So thank you for watching all this time, JC. And he says, what Superman action figures have you collected that is your favorite, or are you still looking for? Personally, the favorite Superman figure that I've collected would have to be actually one that I got quite recently, and that is the DC Universe Classics Superman figure from the Power Struggle 2-pack, which that's kind of a generic Superman from the DC Universe Classics line, but it's a great figure. I really do love it. It definitely reminds me a lot of the animated series look for Superman, the Superman that I grew up with. So I really like that. That's probably my favorite Superman figure that I have in my collection. As terms of Superman figures that I would love to own, I would love to have the Hot Toys Christopher Reeve Superman. That thing looks fantastic, but that is so expensive. So that's probably just a fantasy for now, but I don't know, maybe later on one of these days I'll get a Hot Toys figure. You never know. So I hope that answers your question, JC. And finally, Arc Trooper Mark asks, who do you think has been the best voice actor to do Superman? And he gives examples like animated series, Justice League. Personally, my favorite Superman voice actor would have to be George Newbern from the Justice League animated series, and continuing on into several of the DC animated universe movies, and like the Injustice video game that came out not too long ago. As for why he's my favorite, it's a little hard to say. You know, it's just personal preference, honestly. I mean, wasn't it Clark Daly? I believe that's the name, Clark Daly, who did it for Superman the animated series. I hope that's his name right. I don't know. Terrible me. I should look that up. But please correct me in the comments if that's not his name. But I think he did a fine job too. He was a great Superman in terms of his voice acting. But I don't know. I think that George Newbern, to me, he just sounds more Superman-y. I can't really explain that. It's just when I hear George Newbern as Superman versus Clark Daly, I just think that other guy is Superman. The other guy is doing an impersonation of Superman. I don't know. It's just he sounds very much to me like what Superman should sound like. He sounds very, very strong, but very kind of all-American. And obviously in the Justice League show, I associate that Superman more with the DC Universe as a whole versus Superman the animated series, where it was more confined to just, Superman's adventures in Metropolis. So I think of George Newbern's Superman more as the DC Universe's Superman versus Clark Daly's just, Metropolis Superman. So I know, a bit kind of a weird answer to that. It's just, it's honestly just personal preference. I don't think down on anybody who prefers one other voice actor over another. It's just what I personally think. I just think that George Newbern and Kevin Conroy, those are, when I'm reading a Superman or Batman or Justice League comic, those are the voices that I imagine are in the comics, So I hope that answers your question, Art Trooper Mark. And thank you guys for asking these questions. It's definitely been a lot of fun answering these questions and touching on subjects that I may have not had time to do in the main episode of Superman Character Witness, or I might have neglected to touch upon. And this will definitely be a reoccurring element for Character Witness. So I definitely look forward to doing more of these Double Jeopardy episodes in the future. So yeah, tell me if you guys have liked this episode in the comment section below. Leave me your feedback, and stay tuned to see a little sneak peek of what the next main episode of Character Witness will be. So thank you guys for watching. As always, this is Joker Fett signing out. Bye.